Welcome to the Big Movie Mouth-Off, sponsored by Broovies Cinema Pub, where we are today to review more movies. By the way, at Broovies, you can catch the Big Movie Mouth-Off showing in between showings. I'm Jeff Weiss from MSN Entertainment.
And I'm Jimmy Martin with SLUG Magazine.
Our next movie is Megamind.
I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah. Really?
My head hurts.
No, this is my Halloween costume as Christina Ricci. Look like the giant forehead. Megamind is an animated adventure comedy. Basically, think of the Superman mythos as told from Lex Luthor's perspective. The title character is a supervillain who was sent to Earth by his parents, destroyed planet. He's voiced by Will Ferrell. At the same time, a heroic extraterrestrial, voiced by Brad Pitt, has grown up to become the planet's protector.
I had a fairly standard childhood.
Hurry, there isn't much time.
With parents who couldn't wait to get me out of the house.
You are destined for greatness.
That was a lot of expectation to place on an 8-day-old. Turns out another family in the Glaupunk quadrant had a very similar idea. That was the day I met Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. And our glorious rivalry was born.
And basically, it's what would happen if a supervillain took out his superhero?
Spoiler alert.
No, that's the premise of this whole thing. And it's pretty much the sense of what happens next. What does your life mean? And that's why I like it.
Yeah, what is the purpose of a supervillain?
He's got to have it's a yin to the yang.
One would be cheered.
Happy Metro Man Day, Metro City.
I love you, Metro Man! And I love you, random citizen.
While the other
Table for two.
was feared.
What? What?
But on November 5th,
A new threat has come to Metro City,
Consider yourselves under new management.
and Metro Man is nowhere to be found.
He'll destroy the whole city.
I'm sorry. I'm finally free to get in touch with my true power. Making awesome music.
You're kidding, right?
Ironically, after the screening, the representative of the studio asked me what I thought, and my take on it was, wow, they actually made an interesting version of Superman.
They really did. And God, talk about these flight sequences that go through the city, and it's amazing. You know, I'm not a big fan of 3D, but every once in a while, some films get it right, and this one nails it. And also, see it on the IMAX too, because it immerses yourself in this world where you feel like you're, flying along with Superman. I mean,
Right.
good Lord. And,
Or Lex Luthor.
Yeah, or Lex Luthor. And what's funny about it is that, we've talked on the show before, and I always say that, I haven't always said, but I've said that Will Ferrell can be a one-note guy.
Right.
This time he goes beyond of what he's used to doing, and it's good. It's really good.
You know what it reminded me of? Zoolander, where
Yeah.
he played the villain.
Yes.
Will Ferrell is much more interesting when he's playing a different character, and he is. And when you're not seeing him do goofy faces,
Yeah.
he is more... He acts more than he has in a film since Stranger Than Fiction.
I make bad look so good.
It's true. And the other thing that's great about this film is the pop culture references. And
Right.
so what I love about, most kids films nowadays, they always throw in the little hint for adults. The only they're going to get, and the kids will laugh at, whatever's funny, which is probably everything.
Do you have your disguise?
What?
Oh, you look fantastic.
But there's every once in a while you just hear adults laugh. And this film, for me, almost overtakes what the kids will laugh at. There's so much for adults to enjoy.
Especially geeks.
Yeah, especially geeks.
If you know Superman, you know superheroes, there are jokes galore that you will get.
I'd say Superman, 80s movies, even old Nintendo games, you're going to know exactly what's going on.
Right.
And so, but my only concern is there more references for the adults for them to enjoy than the kids?
I would say that, but at the same time, this is the first animated film since How to Train Your Dragon that's genuinely exciting. It's got a lot of action. I think that stuff's going to keep the kids
Although,
into
I mean,
the film.
you put a superhero in front of a kid, they'll sit down and watch for hours. But I just find it funny that the tables have now turned on a potentially children's movie, but more entertaining for adults.
By the way, we should mention not just Will Ferrell and Brad Pitt. There are some really talented people in the voice cast too, including Tina Fey, who's essentially the Lois Lane character here,
Yep.
and David Cross as the voice of a minion that an alien fish in a body that if anyone remembers the old 1950s science fiction movie Robot Monster, you'll recognize the costume for the minion.
That's why I love this movie. They did their homework, and you know they know what they're spawning off of. They know who's going to come see it, and the people who do come see it and do know what they're talking about are going to love it.
Right. Yes, these filmmakers clearly love those earlier movies.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I've seen promotions for forever for this film, and it's almost like they didn't trust what they had. But for me, like God, you've got something good here.
Right. And again, you bring up the 3D thing, and I also am not the biggest 3D fan in the world, but this is one of those where I would say if you're given the choice between 2D and 3D, you might want to take the 3D option.
I agree. And we're both on the same page about this 3D stuff. It's just, to me, it's a gimmick. But everyone's like How to Train Your Dragon. It was a wild ride, and I'd say that this one is right behind it.
Right. This is not going to change animation as we know it. It's
No.
not going to change superhero movies as we know it.
It could help.
Yeah.
It could assist.
It's still going to be a long wait till next summer for Thor and Captain America.
Yeah.
But this is a very acceptable substitute.
Yeah.
For the voices, the laughs, the action, I gave it 3 stars.
See, I'm right up there with you for how much I loved it, but I'm going to give it a tad bit more. I'm going to give it 3.5 because, God, you know, children's movies nowadays, it's really hit or miss because if it's bad, it's bad. But when it's good, it can be good. This one nails it.
I would have given it 3.5, but that dance number at the end.
Oh, well, let's talk about that because real fast before we leave, I don't like dance numbers at the end of movies.
Yeah, it's cheap. You don't know how to end your movie.
Exactly, but Despicable Me did this, but they did it to the extreme with the Bee Gees.
Right.
Who kids aren't even gonna enjoy. I mean, God, who does enjoy the Bee Gees? But this one ends with Michael Jackson's Bad, and God, at least it's a somewhat better choice of music selection.
It's still Michael Jackson.
I like Michael Jackson. Rest in peace, buddy. So, there you have it. I'm gonna watch a movie on your forehead now. You watch one on mine.
Sure thing, Mike Runge.